Hi, my name is Helen Sweigert. I want to tell you an interesting story. My daughter Vicki brought this very nice young man home to our house one day. I had not met him before, and he was very nice, but the only thing that bothered me a little bit was that Vicki was a Christian, and we had a Christian home, and I don't think this young man, whose name was Ray Bachman, had any spiritual interest whatsoever. Well, one day at Easter, we invited Ray to come and watch a film called Jesus of Nazareth.
Vicki invited me over to spend time with her mom and dad and sister to watch this series. And when I started watching it, as Jesus spoke, that was back when they had wooden frames around televisions. And the wooden frame disappeared, and I was there confronted with this Jesus. No one really taught me the sinner's prayer, but I remember just breaking down and crying. And I said, Lord, please, please forgive me for all the things I've done. I said, Lord, just come into my life, and I want to be like Vicki and her mom and dad and sister. I want to have what they have. But all of a sudden I felt this peace within my heart, like everything's going to be okay. In our previous subdivision, there were a bunch of us who were believers, and I got them together and said, we've got to reach our neighbors for Christ. How do we do that? How do we go from swimming at the pool and playing tennis? How do we go from there to let me tell you about eternity? And so we sent out a flyer and called guys and said, hey, we'd love you to come together on Saturday morning for the next 10 weeks. And my prayer was, Lord, by the end of this 10-week series, give me one person that I can really spend one-on-one time with, that I can really pour into the things that God's taught me.
In 1996, I was living my own life, just going along. And then one day I was driving home and I looked up and there was a sign in my neighborhood that said, Men Under Construction, 7:30 a.m. Saturday. So when I got there, these guys were reading a book. They were looking at this book and I was kind of like, okay. So a little uncomfortable at first because I hadn't really been in a situation like that. But once I started reading the book, it started becoming very clear to me that there was something to be learned here. And I thought to myself, well, I don't need an accountability partner, but if I did, a guy like Ray Bachman would be the kind of guy that would be a good accountability partner. After several years, a lot of the people I was studying with were encouraging me to start my own group. But I prayed about it and I started looking and I didn't find anybody. So I stopped looking. And all of a sudden, God sent 3 men to me over the next couple of weeks.
So back in 2006, our family went to Mount Pisgah, and I worked in the parking lot. I went to Emmaus, and through all that, I met a guy named Matt Kehoe. And Matt invited me into a small group with 5 other guys. And we met for about 5 or 7 years, and I learned things like morning worship, spending time with Jesus in the morning, getting into the Word, praying. I remember saying to the guys, I think I'm being called to start a wheelchair sports ministry. And Matt said, I'm in. And that was 13 years ago. He's still in. So together, along with some families, we started Titan Wheelchair Sports, started with 6 folks, and now it's over 90. Part of Titan Wheelchair Sports, we start off every scrimmage with a devotion. We call it Power Half Hour. And Matt and I used to lead it, but we weren't very good. So we realized that we had 3 young Titans, and Garrett, Josh, and Derek, that were fully capable of leading it. So we turned over the reins, stood beside them, and eventually turned them loose. And they are still the 3 wise guys today.
Hello, I'm Josh Cusick, and I'm a member of the 3 Wise Guys, which are 3 people who help lead what's called Power Half Hour before every scrimmage. This is something bigger than myself. We are networking for his kingdom. Both coaches, Rick and Matt. If not for them, I wouldn't have been so led to become the leader I am today.
Matt's been a blessing in my life. Because of him, I get up every morning now and I spend time with the Lord. I get in the Word and I start my day off on the right foot.
After I met Ray and started studying the Lord and changed my life because, my way wasn't necessarily working out that great.
If it wasn't for Helen, I would not be sitting in this chair today.
Of course, this is the way the Lord works. You make disciples to make disciples to make disciples. And discipling's contagious. So if you're involved with it, you want it to go on. And so that it really is a blessing to me, of course, to hear this. But the credit belongs to the Holy Spirit, not to Ellen. But I'm just pleased that the Lord let me have a part of it.